Sukh.
Oh yeah. And you're not literally a school. I love that on your Twitter. You have to like explain it to idiots.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. Go on and Sat, get on with it. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, look, Sukh, Tru-Skool. I thank you for coming on. You've got to be the most famous Punjabi Derby County supporter that's been on my show.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought he was going to say something else.
But thank you, mate.
There's some Derby. No, on your show. Well, I'm probably the only Derby County sport you've had.
You're the only one, the first one.
Right, yeah.
But what a first one to have, mate. You are a kind of legend, mate, in the music industry, without doubt. And you've done it in a way. You've done it in a way which I really appreciate. There's no pump. There's no 1,000 million tweets building up to a single. You kind of just put your music out there and you go, here you go. Do you like it? Great. If you don't, and I think people love it, obviously. And that's kind of how you've built your brand. And I can see this sort of working with Check One Records as well. This is the kind of vibe you guys are going for. Here's our music.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, even the 3-4 tweets that we do before a single, even that is like, you get the impression that people don't even want to read that. Do you know what I mean? So I think, people like sort of like reiterating it over and over. We've got a song coming out. It's like, you can't blame the artists as well, because they're just trying to raise awareness. So so they try that approach, then they'll try a different approach. Like, the audience is so unpredictable as well at the same time. But with us, our main focus, myself primarily now with the label that we've got, Check One Records, I'm trying to make sure the music's always proper. That's it. You've got to make sure it's all about the music, like videos and all that. That's not important. That's not even a priority. I mean, if you can get a good video, it's a bonus. But even if you get a video, I think that's a bonus. But we're in a different kind of scene. But for me, it's like, you've got to try and make the music as good as possible, and then try and get it through to the people. Really, that's how we think.
You're a big fan of social media. I know I've seen you sometimes come on. I mean, I've just come back to Twitter. I lost my previous account, but I've come back, and it's kind of the same old nonsense it was before, right? And
I'm not a fan of social media. No. Sometimes it can be good, because it's like, if there's people that you want to follow and you're a fan of them, you could check out what they're doing. So it's good for that thing, but it's got its negatives as well. So it's got its positives, but the negatives are like, people doing indirects and that sort of thing on there. You wouldn't do that to somebody's face in real life. So I think doing that on social media is really cowardly, I think. Just really, it's pretty sad, I think. I think it's quite sad.
Yeah. There is a lot of sad people out there who would say, definitely would say things. And if they're standing in front of you.
I think that's just a downside to social media. It's like, because you're not going to go up to somebody's face and say X, Y, and Z. So you shouldn't do it on social media, because most people do it under a fake account. And even the people that do it under real accounts, like, you wouldn't say that to the person. So don't do it on air. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all real people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, not a virtual, like some next kind of world or something. Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, it's good in one sense. Look, I tell you, since I started this show back up from my old one, there's one person that people wanted on, and it was you. I mean, the amount of WhatsApp messages, texts. I had 2 shows out, and I think by the second show, people were saying, when are you going to get Tru-Skool on? And I was thinking, I've only got 2 shows out. Give me a chance here, right? When are you going to get Tru-Skool on? Literally DMing me on Twitter, tagging both of us in. When you're going to get Tru-Skool on? And I said, look, I'll ask him. I'll go, all right, I'll ask him. I always wanted to get you on anyway, but I hate forcing people and saying, look, sort of put pressure on them, say, Aja, come on my show. But I thought, look, people are asking, I'm going to ask him. And I loved your reply. You go, yeah, no worries, mate. Let's do it. And kind of the reply I thought you would give, you're just a normal bloke, right? And
everyone's a normal bloke, really, though, aren't they? The ones that some like to pretend that they're not.
yeah. Some like to pretend there are a lot of things in music videos at the moment, and there seems to be a new kind of vibe of gangsterism. Why do you think? Why do you think these Punjabi singers like this gangster style, man, and portraying something they're not really?
The thing is, I think. The thing is, right, like if I take it to before all that started, as a listener, like, I'm a hip hop head, and like listening to all the the old hip hop, like most of it was, you know, like gangster and like aggressive lyrics, etc. And it's like, and then even in the, you know, early, you know, Punjabi folk days of this era, like, you know, you had lyrics about next man chopping next man, and all that stuff was in there. And I think, you know, if people like those stories, it's like just watching a film. I mean, it's fine with that, but I think what's happened now is, you know, when the rappers saying, "Oh, I shot this guy and I did this," like they're just, the thing is, they probably haven't, but then they're a lot more likely to do it than someone like from Jalandhar or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Or like someone who work, you know, someone who lives down the road or something. Like, what? Because they're in that, it's real to them. I think what's happening is the Punjabi singers, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling them stories because it's like a fantasy thing, you know, like when you start watching a film. But now they've started making out that they are actual gangsters themselves.
That's right.
And I think they shouldn't do that because, you know, you could tell they're blatantly not that way inclined. And I think if they got themselves in a situation, you know, they probably won't be able to deal with it, or because of peer pressure, they'd have to act like they need to do something now, like, oh, we got to prove ourselves because we've been saying it in the songs, which is just really immature. There's no need for that. I mean, like, you know, we've had songs about, you know, like we've had Mama de Portrayals, Gabru and these kind of things, you know, talking about real stuff and, you know, about Gabru, Jawan, Munde or whatever, you know, like Punjabi warriors and Surme and stuff like that. But I think when you start portraying that you're something like that, especially when you can't back it up, that's kind of weird. But
it's when people have stepped over the line from art and they've become and made it reality, and that's when problems are going to happen at some point.
I'd say, you know, like even then, if you know, all right, they want to do songs like that, they want to talk like that, but then when you meet them in real life, if they try to act like that in real life, then you really overstep the mark now. You know, and some of them do. I mean, there's one singer from Punjab, like, I'm not going to say his name, but, you know, he looks like a Japanese Akita. And the guy, like, came to England once and he linked me, and he's like, he literally walks around with this bag like a woman, right? And he's like, he looks frail, and he's like a really cowardly type of individual. And he's probably one of the worst at giving it large on the songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what kind of bag did he have?
You know,
like a man bag?
Like, you know, when I go on, like, it looks like some woman bag thing, like, and then, you know, if you see his Snapchat, he's always like his Instagram story, he's doing like these angry poses and like, he has vexed faces. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're such a coward.
Yeah.
Why are you acting like that for? And I find that stuff really annoying, to be honest.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like that. Because I've met them in real life, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're actually like a mouse, but you're acting like this. It's really strange.
It's a strange one because they've built this image up and they're kind of living up to it. And I know you've met so many singers who have come up to you and they want to work with you, but you're quite particular about who you work with, because I know you've turned down many people, is there a reason? Is it only particular? Is it a character you're looking for, not just a voice?
Both, yeah. I mean, I just want to finish that point I was making. Like, I'm not making a point to slag anyone. It's not about that. It's about, I think we're just trying to say, like, to some of these singers, don't act like that. There's just no need for it. You know, there's just no need for that. The point of it is, you don't need to behave like that. That's the point. It's not like doing juggly. It's like just saying, stop doing it. Stop doing that. And like, I think I've noticed another thing, that some of these, not just artists, but even just like random listeners or kids or whatever you want to call them, like, they do this thing where they want everyone to follow them, and they'll follow like 10 people or 20, 30 people, or some of them have 0 followers. I'm like, well, why don't you just look in the mirror all day? Why don't you just get a mirror and stare at yourself all day? Because, like, you're not that special. Like, why are you on Instagram or whatever for, and you don't want to follow anyone? Like, because you're basically trying to say, I'm so important and I'm so great. I think they should just look in the mirror all day then.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Where they've got, they won't follow anyone, but they want followers. I know what you mean.
I find it really weird. Like, you know, I'm seeing a lot of the kids doing that, and I'm like, you're shit, mate. And what are you doing that for? You're actually shit. And, or, you know, like, you got no talent or anything, and you're doing that, you bloody idiot.
Yeah.
You know, and people need to stop doing that, because like that's like 10 years out of date. You know what I mean? People first used to do that like back in 2010. But that question that you asked is about, I think initially it was like, first things first, it's always about the kind of voice, not just the tone of voice, but the quality of singing. You know, that's the first thing anyway. And then it's like, if I want to feel that this guy's all right, man, or this person's safe. Because if you think this is a good person, you want to put, you want to make that effort for them, and it makes you care about the thing, because I need to care about what I'm making. But it's getting really hard to do that now, because, you know, sometimes you may have to work with certain singers, you know, are not the nicest of people. So it's really, really hard. You know, in the future, it might have to be that case, but I ideally like it if you know, he's a good person, and you know, and obviously a top vocalist. That's the first thing, top vocalist.
Yeah. So you've worked with people that you found
there who are really popular, they're famous.
And,
you know, they put the fake hits on the videos and do all the million Google ads that they do. But the thing is, like, you know, they portray that they're big and it's like wicked, but the vocals aren't that good, and I think that's a problem as well. But you know, I don't want to go on a total negative, but I think the point of saying that is stop doing that as well.
Yeah.
Why don't you practice your vocals, and why don't you stop doing like these excessive Google ads and all the fake views? Like, why don't you just, because you know, like some of the media, they think that's real, you know.
Yeah, of course
they look at that.
Yeah,
because they've said things to me and some of our friends. They're like, well, we've booked this person because they've got this many YouTube views. And I'm like, but they're all fake. They're like, well, we've got no reason to believe that. Why don't you just use your ears and listen to how they sound?
Yeah.
But I think that needs to change. I wish, you know, I wish that could change. I hope it does change, you know. And I think that with Check One Records, I'm trying to just bring out quality. And, you know, even if it's that small, you know, we can raise that and make that grow a little bit and build like a new audience, you know, who know what's happening on. We can sort of segregate ourselves from that sort of situation. You know, it'd be good.
Yeah. So you're kind of segregating yourself probably from a big chunk of the industry, because a lot of it is fake. A lot of it is fake, right? And you know, these 100 million views within 6 hours or whatever nonsense it is they come out with.
Listen, man, I'm not joking. 99% of the people do, you know, like I've said 99%. So, you know, I mean, I didn't say 100. 99% do it, and I think they just got to stop doing it, because I think if one stops, if one of them can just be brave enough to stop doing that, because, you know, Google ads are not fake views, but what they are is it's like if you spend a certain amount of money on these Google ads, you're kind of almost guaranteed to get these views. So really, they're not doing it to really advertise their product. What they're doing is to get that view count up, to say, look how many views we got, and they weren't fake, because you spent £3,000-4,000 on Google ads, which kind of what they do is they say, if you spend X amount of money, we can guarantee you this many hits. So that just sounds like fake hits all over again. They just want to get. I think one person can be brave enough to say, look, I'm not going to do that, and then he might encourage the other artists to say, well, I don't need to do that, and everyone could sort of come back down to earth and be normal again. You know, I hope that happens. I hope that happens.
I hope so. And I know with Check One Records, with your YouTube channel, you've kept it real, and the views are what the views are, and you've got healthy views. You know, it's good by anyone's standards, but at least I think you can go to bed at night and think, you know what, these are all legit. There's no bullshit here. This is my.
The thing is with that, Sat, right? You know, if like 20,000-30,000 people have looked at your thing, like that's 20,000-30,000 people, but people think you need to get 100 million or 50 million or even 1 million. I'm like, look, use your brain here, right? The audience. You know, like I've seen it. You know, when people put up videos of Lionel Messi or Ronaldo on YouTube, and it takes like there's this one Messi documentary, right? It took that a year to hit 10 million views. But Messi will get 100,000 people in at Barcelona Stadium to watch him. 100,000 people will come and watch, but it takes him a year to hit 10 million on YouTube. So if a singer is getting like 10 million in a day or two in a day, then that means he's like on a different level. So how come when they do a show in England, like, because obviously I'm sure, like, because sometimes they make out a certain million of those views are from England as well, right? So how come when they come to England, they can barely get more than 4,000 to 5,000 people? Because they've just said that they're bigger than the Ronaldos and the Messis with their views, right? So how come they can get 100,000 people to watch them on a weekly basis, but you can't go over 5,000, but yet you're worth hundreds of millions of views?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit a lot. Look at the logic.
Yeah. I think people listening at home and watching this, I'm talking about listeners and fans out there, you've got to look out for these kind of things, because underneath, it's like a glass house. There's nothing inside really. It's a kind of a fake.
Got to stop doing it. They really got to stop doing it. If I start going, oh, he does it, and start naming, people will be like, oh, he's, I'm going to look like the bad guy. So I'm just hoping that, if there's somebody out there, like the artists, they can hear this and think, you know what, I should just stop doing this and just like be truthful. It'd be good.
Yeah. Truthful in the music industry. We live in hope, but I know that's where you guys are going for. Check One Records. There seems to be a different kind of image to you guys and what you're putting out. You're raw and you're real. I saw an Insta live.
We're proud. We're proud of it. We're not ashamed. We're not ashamed to say, oh, only 10,000 people looked at this, because, like I just said, well, how come a superstar can't get 10,000 people at his show? Then 10,000 people, for me, that's like 10,000 people looked at your thing. That's a lot.
Yeah. Exactly.
So people shouldn't be scared of that. It's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I think you're right. They need to be brave. I mean, if you even one of your artists, JK, he's not stopped working since. He's
a brilliant example of that. I don't want to keep going on about this. Like, it's not a moan. I'm just trying to encourage some sort of change here. It's like JK. He's the most booked UK artist in England. He's the most booked artist, Punjabi artist in England. He's been booked non-stop since the day he entered the scene. But yet he can't get 1 million views on a video. Exactly
my point. Yeah, exactly. And I know the guy's booked everywhere. That's probably is that what I want to
believe me. That's the facts. Everyone knows that. But they're the real numbers. It's like they're the real numbers.
Yeah,
that's why I was like. That's what I thought. When we do Check One, we should show the real numbers, because it might, force a change. Because like these guys who think they're these media guys, these guys who like to call themselves media guys, who just start up websites or whatever, or make accounts and write stuff themselves without any sort of credibility. Like, they believe all that stuff and they look at that stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, you twat. I'm thinking, and they write all the stuff, and I read it, and I'm like, you thick twat. I'm sitting there thinking that, you idiot.
Yeah, that's the problem, because once the media starts believing it as well, they'll put out articles like you said, and the customers out there, the people that are fans, they believe it all. They take it all in and think, yeah, this is it. He's successful. They look at it as he's good and he's shit because he's got more views. It's gone to that basic level.
Somebody's got to just break that and say, look, no, we're stopping that, and it'll be sick, because like the youngsters that come in, who don't do this fake advertising, whatever, it's sort of discouraging for them, because they're like, well, we're down here, but no, you're actually not. You're actually not.
Yeah.
So it should be about the music and just good music coming forward. That's important.
That's right, and that's my worry about young people who are trying to get into the music industry or any kind of industry, where they see fake views, sponsored posts and thousands of likes which have been brought from India, and then they get disheartened because they think, oh, I put my picture out there, no one really liked it, and it's legit likes. They got 30 likes, which is good. 30 people like their work, that's great. But we've come to a society now where we want thousands if we've got thousands, we want millions. If we want millions, we want 100 million. You know, it's getting ridiculous numbers now. There's going to be a point where someone's going to put, you know, 500-600 million. You know, almost the entire population of the earth has watched a video. You know, it's going to be, you know, and they're going to have that picture, ain't they, with the only
point of this is just to say, like, we should just try and be truthful and honest with that. And I think that'll be, you know, I think that's a positive thing to say that, you know, and I hope we can encourage that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we mentioned JK, and it's quite well known that you taught him. There's a lot of people that I know and I've spoken to that call you Ustad, a teacher. You know, Ustad is such a respectful word, and for someone in the UK, a guy from Derby who's kind of just a normal bloke, you know, it's an amazing thing, and you are an Ustad to them, and without a doubt.
I've never told anyone to ever call me that. You know, like when they've said it and it's just come out their mouth, I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I think Ustad obviously means teacher. I mean, I do teach people. I have taught people. So basically, but I told them to call me Sukh.
Yeah.
I told them to call me Sukh, but they say that, you know, in public or whatever. That so, but they don't call me that when I'm with them. I mean, one or two, like the India singers, they do, but you know, Star G, this, that, the other, and like, but they're not actually sincere when they say that, you know. But the lads, young lads or people that we know, you know, they say that in public, but when we're together, it's just Sukh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sign of respect for you from them, definitely. And when they say it to me, they mean it. They got great affection for you, Sukh, and because they'll talk to me privately. You know, they genuinely love you as a person and for what you've taught them, and it's something that they've got. You know, when you teach someone an instrument to sing, it's a beautiful thing because it's something that they're going to take, you know, forever. You know, that's something that they've learned. You know, that they never had before.
Definitely. I mean, that's what's, you know, we speak about these things when we start, when the teaching process starts. It's like that's going to stay with them forever, and you know, you've got to fully respect that and value that. You know, otherwise we wouldn't even get into the whole teaching process. There's been a few people who have come here and taken and you know used it for themselves and in a disrespectful way. But you know that actually like disturbed me a few times, but. You know, it's just it's happened. You know, you got to try and avoid that.
Did it upset you in the sense of like you lost like a family member who sort of?
No. It's like it's teaching somebody that's exclusive and you know it's almost like sacred. You know, it's like you're giving something to somebody that they're not going to get anywhere else, because I've made my own syllabus and my own method. And they've just taken it and, you know, whatever, you know. I think that's, you know, but then, you know, it's all a karma thing, you know. I believe in karma. So, I mean, I was really mad, you know, a few people have done it, but, you know, now I'm just like, I just try to forget about that and, you know, and just move forward.
So how do you choose someone to become a student? Like, let's take me, for example, right? I come to, Derby, and I come and see you and say, so look, I want to be a singer. I'm sure you get this all the time. Here's my cassette and listen to me. So what's the steps would you take? Would you?
No. It would be like, you know, I wouldn't even meet the person until I'm sure that they seem decent, you know, just by speaking to them, messaging and speaking first, you know, because you know, if you're somebody from the internet, you don't know who you're talking to. Like, it could be a bloody nutter. So like, you just try your best to vet them out, and then I mean, the point is like it's about commitment and you know, having that discipline and wanting to do this for the right reasons, for the art form, and not trying to be famous. And you know, because I think being an artist and a performer is a different thing from being an artist. You know, that's why we have got artists who they're good at prancing up and down, and you know, and then wearing the right clothes and getting the videos looking nice, and people think and they can sing a little bit, and then that's considered the total package. But that's something I'm not interested in. You know, it's like I just want to teach someone how to try and sing as good as possible, and then it's up to them to get that package thing. But that should not be the priority. It should be the singing first, or your instrument, and then that afterwards. But so I think that's the way that we try and do it.
Yeah. So you're primarily concerned about the singing. That's your key. Do you worry about the image or anything like that, or you leave that to them? You get on with that.
It's up to them, because there's so many schools out there that teach, Indian instruments, tabla, harmonium, sitar, all sorts, and like they go there to preserve the art form. They go there. The teachers want to preserve it. They go there because they've got a shonk for that, and they want to learn that, and they want to do that. And if someone wants to be an entertainer or a performer on stage, then that's something that they've got to figure that out, how to do that. Because there is this thing where a lot of singers, they're really good singers, but they lack in that performance factor. Ideally, you want the balance of being a top artist and being a top performer as well. I think that's the perfect balance that you want to aim for. But the performance side of things is like, it's something that you can only say to someone, I think you're lacking here, but they've got to do that. They've got to put that homework in. I mean, some people are natural to that, and some people just are not natural to that. But anything's possible. You
can work at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a voice then? Is it well, to speak Punjabi for a start? Me and Dumby, we're having a laugh about that, because there's a lot of people that want to sing, but they haven't got that probably fundamental thing of being able to speak Punjabi. So that's obviously a key.
I've got to be honest, like that to me is like a really, really big deal, because we're singing in Punjabi. So the Punjabi alphabet has got so many letters.
Yeah.
So if we've got, in English you've got one B, but in Punjabi you've got two B's, Baba, Baba, in Punjabi you've got two N's, Nana, Nana, in Punjabi, how many T's have we got? Tata, 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 we've got two K's in Punjabi, Kaka, we've got a Kaka, we've got two G's in Punjabi, we've got two R's in Punjabi. They're pronounced differently. It's not as simple as English pronunciation. So it's like, I mean, what I try and say is, to pick kids that are born in the foreign countries, it's like, if they heard somebody singing in English and they're pronouncing the words wrong, they'd take the mick out of them. Be like, what's he doing? I've seen Simon Cowell do it on X Factor and all that. Like, what are you saying? This is the word, so, because you're supposed to say the language correctly first, that's like, that goes without saying.
Yeah, basic.
Then so that's so important for me. That's such a big deal for me. But my personal taste is I'm into the theatre Punjabi, desi kind of singing, the folk kind of style. That's just a personal preference of mine. But then there are singers that are, like people like Shin, people like, really melodic voices, like the band era, who weren't really raw, but the Punjabi was still correct though. It was still bang on. And, that approach was not as aggressive or as tit. So, I do like that as well. So primarily with that, it's like, it's the quality of singing that matters. But I do find it, for me, with Punjabi singing, I mean, like vocalists who are applying an English technique, I just can't listen to that, to be honest. Because Eastern approach and Eastern technique in the music it's a world apart from Western. They're two different. There was one time, again, I saw that on X Factor one time. Somebody went on there, and I think there was an Indian person. I think I can't remember, if it was a boy or a girl. I think it might have been a girl, and she was singing, and when she was trying to do all the fancy runs and flicks with her voice, she was doing it in an Indian way, and Simon Cowell freaked out, and he was just like, okay, that's just weird.
Yeah.
He obviously he didn't understand. They were like doing this Punjabi kind of singing and bringing it into the English. It's like, you got to understand that they're two different things, man. They're two different species altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the tests I've always done to understand if someone knows Punjabi is if they pronounce Bhangra or Bhangra, That's
Bhangra,
yeah. There's two in there, right? So when you hear them say,
as well,
but right. So if they say Bhangra, then you know it's gonna go one way or the other here. But
people say Bhangra, and Bhangra, some people. But yeah, it's not about taking a piss or anything like that. Taking a piss out of them. It's just about like someone needs to, like they need to make sure that they're saying it right.
Yeah.
They could. They need to make sure, and if someone's going to tell them, they should tell them in a nice way. You know what, you're not saying those words right, in a nice approach or whatever, and that, But the thing is, it shouldn't get to that stage where they've already gone and recorded it.
Yeah. Because talking of that, that's actually one of my next questions, because I know from what I read that you made JK wait for years until he was ready. Not for his Punjabi, because his Punjabi is great, but he's singing, because I can tell that you're kind of a perfectionist when it comes to these things.
Yeah, I mean, being a perfectionist is not a healthy thing. It's not a positive thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's not. It's not something that I try to be. I don't even want to be that. It bloody gives you a headache. I think I just can't help trying to be overly thorough. I think that's. I think sometimes that can be a hindrance, to be honest. But with Jim learning, he learned from scratch, because he didn't have that natural ability when it came to vocals, and he worked hard at it. He worked very, very, very hard at it. So that's what I say. Anything is possible. But what Jad has got, he had the natural performer side in him. He had that naturally, and I don't think he even realized. I didn't realize that as well, but he worked very hard on his vocals, very hard, and he still is. I mean, it's one of those things you've got to keep putting the effort in, and if you don't keep on top of it, it can really slip down. You've got to get back up there. It's like going to the gym or doing a sport or something. You've got to keep working at it.
Yeah, I mean, they say you've got to work on your vocals like daily, right? If you miss a couple of days, you're back a couple of weeks. You've lost that sort of. It is like a muscle, obviously. So you're obviously quite hard on yourself in regards to your music. You are a perfectionist, and I think when I said that to you, you kind of laughed and thought I am. And do you sometimes? Are you a bit too hard on yourself sometimes? Do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, because the levels that I go on is like, it's like just the next level. So when an artist is doing that, you're not gonna, after must he just release this thing, then you're not gonna take no one talking shit about the tune.
Yeah.
The most an artist would take is like, all right, that one wasn't for me. See, that's fine. But when someone's trying to like go in, trying to analyze it, trying to be an expert when they don't know anything, that's when you're going to get really annoyed. I mean, with a piece of music, it's a bit like being an artist who paints or draws. It's like, it's their expression, and then they're showing that off, and it's like either you want to look at it or you don't. Do you know what I mean? Or either you want to listen to it or you don't. But it's got to be to a correct standard. I mean that is something like goes without saying. You've got to have it to the correct standard, and after that, then it comes down to, there's something you might like, you might not. There might be a reason why you liked it. There might be a reason why you don't like it. But I don't think like going on the internet and talking shit about it and trying to be an expert on something that you don't know anything about. It's not a positive thing at all. It's not going to do anything for the artist. It's not going to help them, because if an artist doesn't do well for song, they know that it's not done well. Some people, you think they're living in a bubble and they think they're doing well and they're delusional. Sometimes that does happen, but deep down, every artist knows when a song's not done well. So they don't need someone to say, hey, your song was shit, or they don't need that. They really don't need that, because they do figure out. I mean, the original way of figuring that out was, when you was signed to a label, they wouldn't release you again.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So are all your pieces of work, all your singles and albums, whoever you work with, are deeply personal to you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That, I mean, and I think sometimes you've got to be careful with that, because you can get so personal with it. Hence why you will start getting into arguments with this guy. He wrote a shit review about my album. What a bastard! You start going like that level, and it's like, and then they don't get why you're so vexed for, because you know with artists, like, they take it so serious. It's not about taking it serious, they're so attached to it, and it means it's like an extension of certain artists' soul, like, just, you know, they go on that level. Some artists do. So if someone slags it, they go mad, you know. And I think with that, it's just like something you got to be careful with that as well, because there's a lot of the youngsters that are coming out, they just see it as a song, because they can go on these websites and get all these samples and throw it all in there like a jigsaw and then put the name on it, and it's taken them like a day to do. So to them, it's just a song, and you know, and because they're not really valuing the parts that they put in there, because they didn't play them, did they?
Yeah.
They've gone on a website and nicked all the parts.
Yeah.
You know, like most of the big producers, these youngsters are doing that. So to them, it's like, it's just a song. If it flops, it doesn't matter. We'll get another one. But the thing is, the elements that they're nicking are like made by highly trained professional musicians as well. Yeah. So it's a big change from like the Bhangra industry where we've come from, like, you know, be like yourself, and you used to be in a band as well. So it's like, it's not like that anymore. So I think now we've got to train ourselves. Look, this is a song. Yeah. You need to understand that there's going to be people that like it and don't like it, but you need to get on with the next one, and you've got to try your best and keep trying to make good music. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, back in the day when I went to recordings with the band PDM, we were laying down Dolgi tracks, and it weren't right, and we did it again and again, and eventually we called I think Aman Hair came down, and he did some dumbi for us and harmonium, and it was a lot of work, hours. This was for one song, you know, and let alone an album. And so so I know exactly what you mean, you know, this is hours and hours of work. So if you're recording each element in the song, like, you know, just each instrument, but you can just get samples, and you can get Tumbi samples and everything, and Dolgian, you could throw it all in within a day, where that can take weeks. Yeah, weeks. Well, and usually sometimes takes months. Yeah, and if it's wrong, you go back in, don't you? But there's no point crying about that, because this is how it is. Yeah. Because the public don't know that this is happening, and they don't care. And, you know, the media don't care. They don't care. They're like, we just want a good song to listen to. I'm like, thinking, but do you know how he's made that? He didn't do anything. We're like, well, it sounds good, so that's all we care about. So they don't give a shit. So it's like, there's no point sitting there crying, because artists have done it, like, oh, he uses Splice, what a bastard, he's shit. They do. All the artists, like, you know, there's a lot of that going on. But it's like, well, either you use Splice, or you better get better, because he's not going to stop using it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And these dickheads aren't going to stop bigging it up, so you better just get with the program. Yeah, exactly. But you're not going to change your method of working, are you? I mean, no, I'm not. I mean, I can play the instrument, thank God. But, like, you know, like some musicians who are only at a certain level, they're up against other producers who are nicking like these really like bad boy made samples by like top mainstream musicians, and then they're throwing that in because they don't know anything themselves. So the other guys who are trying to play it themselves, but not them, they're getting squashed. Yeah. So they're thinking, well, I don't want to use Splice. I don't want to use samples. I want to do it properly. I want to play it myself. Well, I'm like, that's all very good, but he's not going to stop, and so you're not going to get anywhere. I think that's a shame that it's come to that level, but it has. Yeah. So we're kind of in this vicious circle now, right? So because everyone else is doing. If Splice and all them websites got banned, then it'd be really interesting. Yeah. See what comes out. And it'd be even more interesting if, like there's a lot of producers, they don't play anything, and they get the musicians in, and they put it all together. And then I've seen the arguments on the internet for years where, well, it's an art in itself, producing music. You don't need to be a musician and all that. But why don't they just tell the truth that they don't know fuck all? Why doesn't anyone say that bit? Yeah. Like, why doesn't somebody maybe get them to film themselves making a track without using a sample and watch what happens? Yeah. And you can't call this guy, because what the problem here is this. The musicians that these producers call in to play X, Y, and Z, they don't realize the amount of graft and knowledge and expertise that musician's got, and they don't actually realize what they're bringing to the table, because they'll say, you got a dumbi, I want it to go ding-a-ling-ling. Oh, is that it? Okay. So when he plays a bad boy riff, how hard is it to say, I like that one, I don't like that one, keep going. Oh, I like that one, yeah. how hard is it to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
How hard is it to get like the best musicians in the country, pay them their money and say, play us a beat. Oh, I like that beat. I'll put that in there. I like that. I like that. How hard is it to look at a song and look at the elements and say, right, you played that. All right, let me go and get them in, put it together, get someone to engineer it. You know, that's how they do it. Fair enough. There is some talent in that. I have to be fair, but the truth of it is, like, you know, like someone like Quincy Jones, for example, you know, when he's got a recording, when they play it live, the whole band plays that song live, like a Michael Jackson Thriller or whatever, like, you know, that album. There's going to be a whole orchestra. There's going to be a whole band of musicians. He's not going to be able to. He can't clone himself 20 times, can he? But the thing with him, he wrote each person's part. He's like, right, these chords, I've made them up. You play this, and you play this, and you play this, and you play this. That's really his work. You know, if you go and get like an expert piano player, like a Don master level player, and you ain't got a fucking clue what he's played, and yet, are you telling me it's not going to sound good when you call him in the studio? Yeah, you're going to sit there and go, go on then, mate, play that. They're going to play it. They go, oh, I like that. Then, come on, you're pulling everybody's eyes, you know. But the thing is, that's been happening for a long time, and it's going to continue to happen as well, you know. And what I would say to the younger musicians is just practice hard as you can, because you're up against that. You know, you're up against people who don't care about that and who like listening to that because they just want the end result. They're like, look, we just want to listen to a song. We don't care how it was made. They just want to hear a good song. That's how the consumer thinks. But I'm trying to sort of inform the consumer. This is how a lot of songs get made. You know, my ones don't get made like that, but a lot of people's songs do get made like that. You know, people like Sukh Olk, it's one of the best musicians, like one of the baddest people, right? And like, he plays it himself. And, you know, it's like, you need to respect that and commend that. And then you've got, you know, but then you've got like, now Punjabi MC, check this out now. Some people might try and put him in the other bracket of a producer and getting people in, but he gets fully involved in what's being played to a considerable depth. So when I've gone and played tabla on one of his recordings, he gets in depth, and he's like, he knows what's going on. He knows how he gets it out of you. And then what he does is, you know, whatever you've played, when you've gone home and then you've linked him next time, he's made it sound like something else. You're like, oh, that sounds unbelievable. That's real talent there. Yeah. That's what you call a legit producer. Like, you know, like for example, you know, the percussion on Munde Aap the Bachkes, Sunil Kalyan, brilliant percussionist. He played tabla and dol on Munde Aap the Bachke. He showed me the original recording of Sunil. Sounds brilliant. And Sunil's played that style on so many recordings, but it only sounds like that on Munde Aap the Bachke. Yeah. Because who bought the other 50% Punjabi MC? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Because like if a producer thinks I'm going to get Sunil in and get him to play all those same beats, it ain't going to sound like that, because he's got his talent there, like an amazing talent, you know. And he plays keys. He can play the tumbi. He understands what a musician does. He understands the musicality of the song. Hence why these are the rare cases of actual real producers that are not like the most craziest musicians. But then you've got producers like Bhutta Jagpal, bad boy keyboard players. You know, I think these kind of guys, they understand musicality, you know, and they play, they compose everything themselves. And for me, I think that is like the highest level.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You're right. I think a lot of the young producers probably do look at Punjabi MC and think he's put samples together, he's chucked it together, and he's made this. But you can quite clearly hear in his music, I mean, he's got to be one of the best producers we've ever had in the UK.
Ever in the world. Like, you know, the thing, like, if you look at, you know, when he made Jindamai on Grassroots in '96, I mean, my favourite albums of PMC were before Grassroots, but, you know, he changed the game with it when he did Jugani and Jindamai, because he got Sukhshinder Shindan to play the dole, but the way he made it sound and what he did on Jindamai, with minimal instruments, never been heard before ever in history. Like that was just like game-changing stuff, you know, game-changer level, you know. So like, you know, when you, or even like, you know, if you do take a sample, but if you try and put some live recording to put that together, you won't be able to do it, because he understands both aspects. He understands what the sample's got and what this has got. He understands sonically how to bring this together, and musically as well, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the levels.
And I don't think a lot of people knew you toured around with Punjabi MC as well, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I know a lot of youngsters
back in the days.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of youngsters know. There's a new generation of listeners. I think. Yeah.
There's like, you know, time goes fast. Like there's new kids who are like, you know, so they'll listen to the current artists of today, and then that's like the benchmark. That's the standard of music. And then what they'll do is they've missed so much. If they try and go back, and they're going to hear certain people, but what they're not going to understand is the progression and the journey of how things have progressed to certain points, you know, especially sonically, how music's progressed. Like they won't understand that, that's just normal, you know, that's bound to happen. But I think the problem is, you know, like there's one guy who's got a website. I heard him say in an interview once, like, the first time he ever got into it was in 1996, and he heard Dolla came out in 91, which was a groundbreaker. So to hear that in 96, and in 96 is when Bhangra really started going on a bit of a dip and going downhill, you know. And then he goes and opens a website based on really limited knowledge and missing a whole chunk and not understanding the stages. That sort of thing can cause problems, because whatever your musical intellect is, you know, you're going to give your opinion based on that. And then there's somebody out there hanging and say, mate, that's incorrect. What you're saying is not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. But the internet gives everyone a platform to say what they want to say.
Yeah. And that's a big change these days. I mean, if you look back at the band,
you know what? I'm just saying, I'm not, you can't stop that. I'm just trying to explain the other side of it and say, look, sometimes this is how things work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe look at history. Look at the history of the music, you know, for where it started. I mean, if you look back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the bands had such a big impact in the sound of the albums. It wasn't always just one person. Everyone used to get involved to create the albums. And that's kind of changed now.
The thing is, you know, like the band era, all that era was like, those guys, man, they were a lot more creative, and they had a lot more star quality in them than what we have now, you know. Because not only did they were passionate, highly passionate and skilled, you know, like, you know, things weren't accessible then, so it meant the world to them. I've seen some photo shoots of some, like, is Nick he's moved to Canada now, keyboard player from Nkama. And I've seen this picture reported with the Lord Golden Star TSB, and like, you know, like the suits that they were wearing and the whole posing that they were doing, like that's like the equivalent of English mainstream, you know. It's like everyone took it so seriously, like to another level, you know. It's like it meant the world to them. But now, because of the internet and stuff and accessibility, you know, you can just get a computer and you can get legal software, and you get samples and just put things together, and you can put songs out, which is all right, okay. But then if people start thinking if people can't tell the difference, then, you know, it's mad, isn't it? Really, it's mad. But it's going to cause people to complain and moan. But the thing is, if you want to be an artist in today's world, you know, with the way the internet is and what's accessible to people, you've got to shut up and get on with it and not moan about it. You've got to. This is how it is now, and it's like, so I'm doing it. I'm getting on with it. You know, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'm just trying to explain that there's this type of artist and there's this type of artist. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. You know, there's definitely two types of artists out there. You know, there's an artist in a true sense of an artist who can play everything, who knows music, who knows he knows how to explain to other musicians what to do and why he wants them to do it. And there's other types of these, I would say, internet type artists. And like you said, you can't moan, and no one involved in the industry can moan. They just need to get on with it. And that's what you seem to be doing recently. Check One Records.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, you know, you know, like with me, I don't write so much on the internet, on Twitter and all that. The only time I do is when I'm in a mod. So
yeah,
so you go and write it on there, you know, that's why you won't see, you know, it's every so often. Do you know what I mean? Because we're all human, we're all normal, you know. Everyone, like, otherwise, I'm just like trying to just get on with my stuff. You know, you get on with stuff, and then there's people that live on the internet and they're looking for drama, and they want to write this, you know, or today I stood in my garden for 10 minutes. Like, I don't give a fuck, you twat. You know, like, yeah. And they're the ones who will give all the views on the albums and the songs, like, because they've got too much time on their hands, and they're probably, like, you know, mentally unstable, you know. So but then that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful of the internet, man. You got to be careful, because these people, they have opinions.
Yeah, and they live on the internet. You're right. They literally live. They're on it all day, And
maybe they've got a chemical imbalance, you know. But then, you know, if you meet them, you probably find that out.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
I was laughing at chemical imbalance. You're probably right, but look, so it's interesting. You are. I mean, this is the first time I've spoken to you. You are the kind of person I thought you'd be. You quite. I knew you was straightforward, no bullshitting around, and your music just speaks for itself, because you're talking about tweets, and I was thinking of your tweets are very much. It's new song out. Here's the date. Check it out, all right? And it's got a picture, and you leave it at that. There's no fanfare. You know, you're not. I think you're leaving that to your artists to, you know, pump it up for themselves as well. You're kind of you're the keystone of Check One Records. You are the figurehead of it, right? I mean, you guys are coming out with a lot of material. It seems to be so much bubbling.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a funny one, because we had so much music planned, you know, for this year, you know, at the end of 2019, and we was like, right, we're gonna go for it. And then, so the first track, Set It Off, you know, I don't think that was the ideal debut for Prince to have, you know, but because he had so many other songs, but it was like, that's the only one we could get ready, because we'd got the video made. It was like, all right, look, it's called Set It Off. Let's set it off then. So we got it out. We got things started, and we had so much lined up for him, for everybody. And the coronavirus came. Literally, like, we dropped Set It Off a few days before the lockdown started.
Yeah.
Literally a few days before the lockdown started. And then we were like, what we're going to do? Like, you know, like, we've got, because, you know, we want to try and shoot. Our videos are like, you know, they're just visuals for the songs. And it's like, we was like, well, we need to shoot, even if we're going to do it on an iPhone, we're not allowed outside now. And then it's like, what are we going to do? And then, you know, so that really put a spanner in the works for a while, you know. And then out of nowhere, Signature by SB, right, from Canada. I missed his message. He messaged me a long time. He messaged me, like, you know, last year, 2019, and I missed his message. And what happened was, one of these Bhangra accounts that, you know, post Bhangra songs on Instagram, posting a bunch of songs, and I heard a song by SB on there, and I was like, that sounds good. And I was like, sounds a bit like similar to something like, you know, I would make. And then you know, that's been happening a little bit. And then I was like, I wonder, let's see if this guy even follows me, because a lot of them don't. I was like, oh yeah, this guy actually follows me. It's like, fair enough. I wonder if he's messaged me. I clicked the message button, and I saw his message from, like, you know, 6-7 months, where he said, look, I want to get on Check One, and you know, I'm a fan of your music, blah blah. And I was like, that's it. We got talking, and he came with his songs during this lockdown, and kept us going again, man. You know, so we've got that flow and continuity now. So from Prince, then with SB songs, now with Red Valve, and all the other songs we've got planned, we've managed to get ourselves organized, and we're now ready to release continuously, you know, good quality music without the big gaps. You know, like the artists on the label Red Valve, we've got Cool Star, you know, Sean and Brinda are working closely with the label, which they're helping for a long time. You know, TL, Prince, done me as a writer, We've got other writers, Manjeet someone else back in there as well. I mean, I don't want to miss anybody out, but we've like Maximum Energy as well. We've got so many artists and other artists that we've not announced yet. And we've got, vocalists like Harry Pannu, Ajay Ork. We've got a lad called Sukh Olk from Canada. We've got people from all over the world, but the students that I've been teaching that are UK born as well, we've got a whole host of them about to start dropping. So with Check One, we're trying to, bring products of a proper quality into the scene and regularly, and without all the whole the fake stuff to go with it. Obviously, they've got to be on their A game. Their singing's got to be top notch. Their performance and their whole approach, the way they come across camera. They've got to have that X factor, that charisma. That's down to that. They've got to bring that all to the table. But what we don't want to bring to the table is the fake thing. That's what we don't want to do. Yeah.
And I don't think you'll get them type of artists wanting to join Check One because you are the figurehead, whether you like it or not. They know you. People know what you would be like if someone who's a bit fake came along and said to you, "Look, so I've got 5,000 followers on Instagram. I'm a singer. Look, check my songs out." I don't think you'll go for someone like that if they're shit, right? And
no. I think with the Check One, when we are approached, there's a bunch of us who sit down and listen to it, and we don't actually tell anyone to, "Oh, piss off, your shit." It's not like that. If anybody's got potential and talent, what we do is say, okay, we feel that if you did X, Y, and Z, it's going to work out. So we've not actually hardly turned anybody away, So it's not like that. You're not. So if somebody's thinking, "I want to approach it," but they might say, "No, it's not like that." We actually want to nurture them and especially get the UK back on track again. So we don't want to discourage people. We want to say, okay, you're good at this. If you work on X, Y, and Z, it could be really, really good. And the same with Check One's got some veteran producers who are older, who have been producing for years, who have not really hit it. And where I've thought, this person, if they just did X, Y, and Z, I reckon it could be really good. And so we've got some veteran producers that we've not announced yet on Check One, who are going to be sounding like totally different artists altogether, because, we've sat down and said, look, what are your strengths? What are you good at? Let's focus on that. And they've done that. And the music that they're making is like, just what we envisioned. The vision was like, okay, if this person does X, Y, and Z, I reckon he's going to make something that sounds like this. And that's starting to happen, So it's starting to manifest. So it's brilliant.
It is
very
brilliant.
Positive.
It's exciting. I can see so much coming from you. And talking of Prince, when I heard Prince and I saw the video, I thought, yeah, okay, this guy's he's probably from India, right? He's come lives in the UK somewhere. Sukh's found him somewhere. He's good.
No.
And then I heard him speak, and he's just a lad. He's a UK lad.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. What amazing singer and voice. Blown away. Once I heard that, I thought, wow, this guy's a UK. What a voice. What a powerhouse. And I can't wait. And Cool Star as well. I know he's going to be bringing some new stuff out as well. You must be excited yourself, Sukh. This is exciting time.
It was, especially at the start, the way we put it together. I mean, we've got a brilliant team spirit between all of us. Everybody comes together. But the thing is, the excitement was there. But, we're not trying to get involved with the way people think things work and run. We're trying to get away from that. Oh, you're not number one. Well, no, we don't want to be. We don't want nothing to do with that. We want to start a new thing off. So they can be the Premier League and we'll be the Vauxhall Conference. We're happy with that, mate. Yeah. But we just want it there, and we want to start a new thing off. And let that carry on. It's a bit like the hip hop scene, where it's an underground scene, but then you've got the mainstream, and like the two separate things. Yeah. It's like, I think, if you make a song and it crosses over and it gets like a large audience coming to check it out, that's a really positive thing. But we want to just focus on what we want to focus on. I mean, someone like you mentioned Prince. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a very, very good vocalist. But to be a complete artist, he's got to bring everything to the table. He's got to have his performances on point as well. So he understands that, and we all understand that. So everybody's working to try and be the best they possibly can be. I mean, but mainly with Check One, we're trying to hit a standard. You know, you mentioned Cool Star as well. I mean, when I had Cool Star on that song Sardari he did, like, I wasn't a massive fan of the song, but what I heard was, I reckon, you know, this guy, he knows what he's doing. And he was another one. I reckon if I chat to him, and I reckon we focus on his strength, I reckon he could be really good. And he's made some wicked songs now, you know, totally on a better level than what he did with the Sardari song, you know. So that's what Check One's about. It's about getting guys and, you know, girls as well, and getting people to sort of hit their best, you know, reach their full potential.
What happened to the young girl that was on Joel's single? Do you remember? Is it Raman
Angela? Yeah.
Yeah, she was a fantastic vocalist. And do you have any other young female singers coming up and coming?
Yeah, we have definitely very soon as well. You know, if not 2020, then definitely 2021. One of my students, she might be on a film soundtrack that I'm producing. She actually might be singing with a really famous singer. You know, and one of the students, Preet, she sang at the Shinda Live in Effect concert that we did, so people already heard her. And I think to mention Raman, you know, she was learning, she was doing this music thing, but at the same time she was doing a degree and stuff. And she had a bit of a break, but then she ended up getting married and moving to Canada.
Right.
So I don't think she's doing the singing thing anymore.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't think she is. You know, because she's settled, she's married, she's got a kid, and so I think that's what she's doing.
Right. Yeah. And then talking about Shinda Live in Effect, I mean, that was a fantastic concert, you know. And again, I was speaking to Tubbsy on the show, and he's generally talking about, you know, his life in Bhangra and this, that. And I said, we was just joking around because I've known him for a few years, and I said, we was trying to sort this sound out for this show, and we was both fucking it up basically. And I go, look, it's typical me and you couldn't do a sound check together. And he goes, at least I turned up for the sound check. I go, what, you used to be late? He goes, well, I was late for Tru-Skool once, and he told me straight. He goes, I was never late again.
That's quite funny. But that's a true story.
Yeah, I believe him.
But you know, especially at rehearsals, like once. But then, you know, because Tubbsy, I think he was known for being late. Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Tubbsy smashes it now. He's like the first one there now. Sometimes
he told me. He goes, what it was. He goes, I used to turn up Tubbsy timing, right? He goes, but he goes, when I went there for Shinda Live in Effect, he goes, when Tru-Skool's got together some of the best musicians in the country, he goes, I knew I had to turn up on my A game. So he goes, he told me, he goes, he didn't tell me exactly what you said, but I can imagine. And he goes, I was never late again, ever. He was on time.
Feels it, man.
Yeah, first one there. But that was a fantastic concert. Again, you was
thanks, man. Yeah,
integral. You was integral to it again, even though you
absolutely. That's Shinda, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like one of the greatest singers of all time. You know, and you know, like mentioning Tubbsy, like, you know, what a brilliant dorky player he is. Do you know what I mean? It's like having musicians at that level, and all the other lads. You know, I don't want to. Actually, I mentioned the whole band. Yeah, like so we have Bummy, Saib G on the guitars, next level, Popsy from DCS. We had Gubsy on the tabla. We had my student Amrit on the door. We had Dips Bhamgra on the octopad, Butta Jagpal and Ammo from Chaos Productions on the keys. So it was a brilliant setup, you know. And Cam from Red Valve, who's one of our Check One artists. You know, it's like everybody put 110% in to that, and we always do with the Tru-Skool live band. It's literally always to get it sounding as perfect as possible. You can't be perfect, but the aim is to try and get it sounding like the tape. We always aim to try and get it sounding like the tape. So, that's why people really loved it. You know, they loved it. You know, because when we did the tours, we did the tour in 2014. We did the tour in 2016. We did his performance in Brit Asia in 2013. When people seen all that, when we'd done some major big shows with JK, like, you know, BBC, is it Live Weekend? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
but we've
big
done
live weekends, yeah.
Yeah, so we've done some of it. When people have seen that stuff, they've really loved it, like, because we really tried to aim for that highest standard possible. So we're always good. So Live in Effect is actually a brand that will be happening every year. So February the 6th, 2021 is actually booked in with one of the biggest artists of all time again. And just hope coronavirus, you know, like behaves and lets that happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that band, man, it was super tight, and it was. When you was playing there, because obviously you was on the harmonium as well at the sides, keep making sure everything was going on track. Did you ever look over and think that's Surinder Shinda, man?
I didn't have time for that because we were just so bothered about getting it right, you know.
Because I know you're a big fan of Shinda, you know, and of the greats, man. You know, and Marnik obviously as well, and but she Shinda there, and at the band, you know, the band, it had that beautiful simplicity of being super tight, and musically it wasn't trying to be flash. It was just trying to.
No, we were trying to get it to sound like
exactly.
like the tape, you know, and it's not about being flash. I mean, I don't think people actually realise how complex that music is.
Exactly. Yeah. You
know, and the thing is, like, you know, because Surinder Shinda, for that week, he stayed at, you know, he was here like 4 or 5 days. He stayed at my house, so I'd already got that out of my system. Like, I was like, Shinda's, he's in my living room, you know. So that was already happening.
Yeah.
And then when we were in the car driving to rehearsal, I was like, you know, that's Shinda sitting in my car. Like, so I'd already had that, but when it's time to work, then you just forget. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And I think, because I was getting told on the show, Surinder Shinda was looking towards me and making eye contact, and I didn't even realise because I was too busy looking what's going on with the band, who's doing what, and concentrating on what I was doing. So I missed that, you know, because when we're on stage, we're just trying to deliver the best possible performance we can.
Yeah. What was he looking at you for? What was he trying to say?
I think he was trying to say like did I get that right? Because, you know, the way things had been rehearsed.
Yeah.
Because we said you've got to do it like the tape. You can't do it like, you can't freestyle it and stuff. So there were times where that ended up happening, and he's looking at me like to say like,
yeah,
it's all good. But there were a couple of times where he did mess it up, and I was just like, I was a bit like, that did happen a couple of times. But, you know, on stage, and things always happen on stage, and it's about how you deal with it and carry on.
I mean, but what a voice! He just seems to make it look easy, doesn't he? He just sort of it just comes out, that power.
But to do that at the age he's at is almost impossible. You know, it's almost impossible. Like, he was singing songs in E's, like, or D sharp all night. You know, all night at that age, it's almost impossible. And I think you know, our aim was just to get him to sound. I mean, voice-wise, is that it's not going to happen because his age, so your voice is going to be a lot heavier and thicker. But in terms of singing the melodies and the approach and delivery, trying to get it the same as how you used to, that was the aim to do that. So if we were going to if we were going to make our efforts on the music, and he's going to do that on the vocals, we're bound to get a decent result. And I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited for 2021 to see who you've got. I mean, that band, the people that you put together, we've got to see more of them. And if you get a great singer with you, that's even better.
You know, that band, you know, we're aiming for like absolute perfection, not just musically, but sonically as well, with the sound as well. You know, we're trying to, like, what we try to do is get each song sounding like how it does on the tape. So if you've got one song and then you've got something else, which is a total different, like, species altogether, then we think, well, we've got to make that happen. And when in a band, if your double has been EQ'd to that, and your talkie been EQ'd to that, and everything's set and EQ'd, then it's like, well, what do we do to combat that situation there? Because everything's just going to sound linear and sound the same. So we try to think of creative ways of thinking, all right, well, this song is in a almost total different genre from that song. Like Surinder Shinda, 1 minute, you know, we're singing one of his 1981 folk song, and then we're doing Mirza Part 2 on the same stage. You know, so and we had to try and make both of them sound like the tape, and I think we managed to get quite close.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you got Punjabi MC to do the rap as well. I mean, that just blew people away. It was amazing. It's one of the greatest songs, and to get them both there live and with a band like that you had, I'm
so brilliant of P to do that. And you know, P told me afterwards, you know, P's done hundreds and maybe even thousands of shows all around the world, and I was chuffed, because you know, I'd seen how happy P was on stage when, you know, when he heard the beat drop, and he was like, "Yo, this is like the tape," and he did his rap and that, and he's on stage with Shinda, and he's like performing how he wanted to with a live band, you know, because he's a producer, and now he's on stage with a live band, you know, and he's like, and I seen his face, and then he's like, and then he just looked at me, he's like, "You killed it." He come up to me and he pulled £20 out of his pocket and he put it on the budget. He's like, "You killed it." He goes, "You killed it." And I was just like, I was flattered when PMC done that, you know, because that was a big deal. And then when I seen him about a month after the show, and you know, he said, about 3 weeks after the show, and he goes, "That's the best show in my whole career."
Wow,
that's what he said.
Yeah,
I was chuffed, you know, to hear PMC say that.
Yeah,
you know, but people loved it, man. People just loved it big time, you know.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the best shows ever, like, you know, I've ever done. I mean, we've been involved in a lot of big shows, but that one was something special.
It was something special, and I think that song with Punjabi MC, that band, it just brought so many memories back for, you know, like people like me from my generation. Just to hear that, it was just like, wow. This is the pinnacle, man. This is a song that we grew up listening to. Here it is. These are the people, and amazing. Yeah, thank you. That's all I can say about that. But thank you for that, and
appreciate that. I mean, I'm just glad people came, and that, you know, because they could have been like, well, Surinder Shunda, he, you know, he's this old now. You know, they could have, I don't know what they could have been thinking. They could have been like, no, that's all done now. But they didn't. They came, and you know, and they were glad that they came. You know, and you know, now because of that, you know, I'm pretty confident that they'll all come, you know, majority of those people will come back, and hopefully even more.
They will.
You know, so
that's one thing I think about you. I think when it's something that you're involved in, and I'm not just saying it because you're on the show or anything like that. I think they're going to think we're going to go to one of his shows or buy one of his out. It's going to be a certain quality, and we're not going to get shortchanged here. It's going to be to a higher standard.
I definitely want people to be thinking that, because that is always what the aim is. That's the aim. It's like to give people more than a money's worth, you know, to give people the absolute best musical experience we can give, you know, whether it's in songs or performances. And, you know, I want people to know that so they know what they're going to get.
Yeah, no, I think people do believe that, and I definitely do. If I know it's if you're involved in it in some way or form, I know it's going to be pretty good. Or so 2021, I can't wait to see what singers you've got, because they're going to be fantastic. And
I'm just going to give a bit of a clue about the Live in Effect featuring the Tru-Skool band with Brit Asia 2021. What I'm going to say about that is the singer. He's one of the most successful Punjabi artists of all time. He's got one of the best vocal tones of all time. He's one of the, probably could be top 3 biggest. You know, when it's like, for me, Kuldip Manik and Surinder Shunda, these are the best vocalists. And the Sadhu Skandars and the Hansrajas, Minder Kias, Manmohan Varsas, etc. These are like the best vocalists of all time. But then you've got an icon, you know, which, you know, like Kuldip Manik's not a flashy, you know, not flashy, that's not the right word, but you know, when I say like someone who's an icon, who's like a superstar, like a Michael Jackson level,
I know what you mean.
That's what this person is like. He's got one of the best vocal voices of all time, but he's one of the biggest Punjabi stars of all time. And I think people have seen him, he's ruled the game for years, but they're not seeing him like this, because he's going to be singing songs that you've not got to hear him sing. Songs that, you know, like on a tape where it's a listening type of song, like, you know, he's not going to sing that at a wedding or a gig because people want to dance. But now they can actually, I love that track. Now, not only are they going to get to hear him sing it, but he's going to get to hear him try and sing it like the tape with the same musical arrangement. The music's going to be like the tape, you know, so they're going to get to sit down and hear something to a high standard and something that they wouldn't have got to hear before, because they're not dance floor songs. So I think to hear the songs, like certain songs where you love them but they're just not appropriate for dance floors, I think that's going to be a brilliant thing. And when he sings his anthems, I think people are going to raise the roof and go crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So am I, and I don't even know who it is. If you could see my mind now, the amount of names that have been rattling through my head, I'm going to stop, because I'm going to get.
You probably know who it is, but I don't want to say it.
No, we won't say it. It's too early, and I want it to go fantastic, and it will, and it's going to be really exciting, and I'm looking forward. So that's one of your future plans. Look, I don't know how long we've been going on for. I don't know about if you know about my podcasts. It's not like radio where they're like 45 minutes, half an hour maybe. Till my ones can go on until one of us gets sick of each other.
Yeah, we don't want to bore everybody. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I think, especially when we're going about all that fake news stuff, I think some people might be like, not liking that part as well. So
no, yeah. I think people know the people that listen. If you know that hashtag that some people put on. I think people that love music, know what you're talking about. They agree with you, and I agree with you 100%. And so for your future plans, you've got this Live in Effect Tru-Skool band, which I'm really excited about. You've put me on my mind's just thinking who it's going to be. That's one of your plans for the future. And obviously you've got Check One Records, which you just seem to have tons of artists lined up, ready to go. And they look so eager to go. I saw that live yesterday on Instagram.
Definitely.
Yeah, and they're so eager to do it, and I know you're speaking about JK's album, hopefully coming out early next year, maybe. That's another one. There could be a point where you could, I know this is not what you're thinking, but you're going to try and do things differently from the way the industry is at the moment, and you're going to set your own path. This is the way we're doing it, and I think it could be a way that it could change the way the industry is run at the moment. We're talking about views, that's just one part of it.
I mean, we certainly haven't got the power to do that yet, but it's all about people think what, the way that they're doing that is the way we want to do it too. And if people make the change together, then it can happen. I think it's really important, and we can, because there's no need for artists to like, I don't like him, or be jealous and all that. I think that stuff needs to stop. I mean, a lot of it happens because of insecurities, or whatever. And it's like that whole, that really sort of negative competitive thing that's happening. That needs to stop, because it doesn't need to be a competition. It should be just like, he's making music, he's making, she's making, they're all making music, and you can listen to it all. It should be like that, and that's what it should be like. I think it's about people. If we want the industry in the Bhangra, especially here in the UK, to sort of to get back to its best, I think the only way it's going to happen is people get together and start making that change. And I think with artists, because there's some artists that I don't like, and they don't like me. I mean, that sort of stuff does need to stop from all of us, and I'm willing to do that, especially if it's gonna push things forward and make things like it's not about how they used to be. It's about just make things a lot better. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be the positive attitude, great attitude, and you're looking, and like you said, karma. There's one thing though that I always see whenever there's a new artist that comes around the block. The first thing people say, get in with Tru-Skool. Imagine Tru-Skool's music with his vocals. Every single new singer that comes along, right? And they always tag you in. They go, yeah, get on Tru-Skool's album. You must hear that all the time. I mean, there's a young guy in there, Raf Safira, who sounds fantastic. And I knew straight away people were going to say, get in with Tru-Skool. That's a marriage made in heaven. But do you read them comments and sometimes see someone that you like and think, yeah, why not? Is it what I'm asking is it worth tagging you in?
I've known Raf for quite a few years, so I know him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can work that out yourself, or you can work something out yourselves. But I mean, with Raf, he's working with his producers and his people, So I think he's got his sort of path set, and he's doing what he wants to do. Yeah. So you know, when people are writing X, Y, and Z, you know, thing is, you know, it's like other people can work with other people, and you know, he doesn't need to work with Tru-Skool. He can, you know, it's just like people should just make good music and you know, keep your head down, make good music, and that's all it is. Keep your head down and like everyone just be respectful to each other. I think we'll be in a good place. Yeah.
Look, so look, we're coming towards the end, and it's been great chatting to you, honestly, and I've really enjoyed it. And because we'll have to stop at one point, otherwise this will be a two-parter or something. We'll have to splice it up.
No. Yeah, because
it'll be a week of Tru-Skool on my show. But look, it's been great having you on. I wish you all the best for Check One Records and all your projects.
Thank you very much, man.
And I know it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to the singles, and you've got some fantastic artists, and I think they're in a good place because they've got you guiding them, you know, within your camp. And before you go, have you got any words for people listening and watching out there?
I mean, we spoke about a lot of stuff today, but what I want to quickly mention is, like, I've got a lot of music coming out from myself. I mean, I've been quiet these last couple of years. The reason why is because I've been working on 5 albums, not 1, 5. I've been quiet, so people start thinking, oh, because I've noticed this thing, like, if you're not on social media and you're not releasing, they're like, oh, he's finished now, he's not doing. No, I've been working on 5 albums, you know, like, that's what I've been doing. That's why I've been quiet. I've been working. Singles is not for me. I'm an album person, and that's what I've been doing, and they're nearly ready, you know. I hope they don't all clash with each other, because like, I've been told by 3 of the artists that they all want it in November. I'm like, I hope that don't happen. I hope they don't come out at the same time, because they've all been like a long time in the making. So I've got a lot of music coming out, and you know, and I'm going to try and keep producing as many albums as possible for as long as I can, you know. So I'm making sure that, you know, with myself, as far as Tru-Skool is concerned, is try and make quality music, quality albums, and then try and push Check One Records, all the new producers and singers, and also train new singers, teach new singers as well as a separate thing. You know, just try and sort of, I'm just trying to look like, you know, push as much talent into the scene so that it can start, you know, so that we've got, you know, productivity in the scene, so that there's things happening again. You know, I just want that to happen, like, you know, like good family shows happening again, gigs happening again, you know, music coming out regularly. Like, I miss that, you know. And I think this time, I think it's about to start happening, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out from various people, not just Check One. Like, there's Manny Sandhu with he's been very consistent, very regularly releasing, you know, and he's going to continue to do that. And you know, there's going to be new guys as well. And I think this time, when it starts happening, we should all learn from the past. You know, like, we've got the Aman Hayes, Sukshinder Shinda, PMC, everybody, all these like veterans, the Dr. Zeus's, they're all going to carry on releasing. I think this time we need to, I think it's about to come back. But this time, when it comes back, we've got to show more value for it and not ruin it. And we've got to sort of, you know, be more civilized and more respectful to one another this time, and try and then make sure it stays this time, because I think it's on the brink of really exploding again. You know, not just, I think obviously music globally is very busy, but I think the UK is about to explode again now. On the brink.
Yeah, exciting times. Look, Sukh, Tru-Skool, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure, honestly, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
No, that's cool. And we'll speak real soon. When you got something new coming on, when you get that live in effect, and once I know who the singer is, I'm going to call you back and see if I was right.
Yeah, man. All right, man.
All right,
nice
take care. Peace, bro.
Thanks, mate. See you later, mate. Bye.